So this is my Ford 555 that we've been rebuilding from the ground up after we got it from Clint from CNC Equipment. This down here, this is Dirt Perfect's 4-in-1 bucket that he got from Workbrow. We've been running it on this machine at this demo job. And this is my custom skid steer quick attach that I welded and fabricated up for the front of this old backhoe so that I can switch things out, like a set of forks and a 4-in-1 bucket. Now this machine came with a bucket, and to build that quick attach, I torched some of the framework off of that bucket to use in the quick attach frame, which has worked great, but it does mean it left me without the bucket that came with that. And although it's incredibly nice of Dirt Perfect to let me borrow his Workbrow bucket, I do need to get that back to him. It's okay to borrow from your friends, but don't take advantage of them, right? So I need to get that back to him, which I'll explain that time frame here towards the end of the video. And we got to get the original bucket with the quick attach plate welded on the back so we can get back to using it on our machine. And this is the original bucket that was on the backhoe. And I remember when we did the quick attach, I torched out this back bracket where the loader arms originally attached. That way I could keep my pin spacing and the loader arm spacing exactly where it needed to be on the quick attach conversion, which means I need to use a quick attach style skid steer plate, and I need to get that attached to the back side of the bucket so we can use my bucket again. Don't get me wrong, I really like this bucket I'm borrowing from Dirt Perfect right now, but I need to get mine back. So I got this skid steer quick attach plate from Vever, picked it up off Amazon. This is 1/2 inch thick, all the components of it, all the way around are 1/2 inch thick. Top, bottom, sides, everything's 1/2 inch thick. We're gonna do a couple things to it just to kind of reinforce it and strengthen it up, since we are putting it on a backhoe versus something smaller. Now this did have really bad reviews on Amazon. I think it was only 3 stars, and most of the reviews that were negative were saying it was because it didn't fit the quick attach plate. But I went ahead and picked it up though. I figured, well, it'd be close enough that I can tweak it and make it what I need and still save me some time. But I'm looking at it, and everything seems to be fine. It's definitely wide enough. This angle down here seems to fit up fine. I don't see any major issues there. I mean, we're nice and flat. We're pretty flat all the way along here, and we definitely nest up into the top pretty well. I don't see any major issues. Everything looks nice and flat along there. The angle looks fine on this side. Everything locked in. When it comes to ordering stuff at a price point, the way I look at it is, if it saves me the time from buying a regular piece of sheet steel and then having to make all the bends, even if I have to tweak it just a little bit here and there, it's still worth it. But it seems to fit fine. So looks good. I say weld it up. Oh. You can see we're sitting pretty flat on this, but it's being held up a little bit. And if you look real close up in there, I don't know if the lighting's gonna let you, but the bucket, believe it or not, appears to have some whoop-de-doos and whoop-de-don'ts mixed in there, which is hold it up where it needs to be. We might have to do some heating and beating to get this down. The plastic chair's starting to get a little rusty. Fine, I'm gonna mark out some of these high spots. We're going to talk a little bit about the 555 today, because I've had a lot of questions about it and a lot of suggestions, so I figure now might be as good a time as any to kind of lay out what our long-term plans are going to be with that machine and what we plan on doing with it. And the big question I keep getting is, do I feel like it's worth it? You know, we're going to be best friends with a sledgehammer and a torch for a little bit here. There's all the spots that are higher. I did order a rosebud tip, by the way. I just don't have it in yet. A lot of people have suggested that. Well, we're gonna try it. So we'll just jump on the main question as far as if the 555 is paying for itself and if I'm happy with the investment. Short answer is yeah, absolutely. Remember, I got that from CNC Equipment. I paid him to truck it down here for me, and I had to teach myself quite a bit as far as rebuilding a diesel engine, but it's been a great experience. Had a lot of help along the way, including with CNC Equipment, quite a bit of questions targeted towards him. Area diesel service was a huge help as well. But all total investment at this point in time on that machine is right around $5,000. Now you can go buy a used machine for probably $5,000 to $10,000, but you don't ever know what you're getting, and I know exactly what I've got in that machine. Quite a bit of new parts as well. And everything seems to be running pretty decent with it. So far I've got around 100 hours on that. Now you guys know from watching my videos in the past that normally I rent my equipment from Dirt Perfect. Now if we're talking about rental rates and what kind of money I'm saving there, just an average, whether I'm renting the 120 or a skid steer or a loader or something like that, if we just kind of find the average between all of those, because it's hard to compare it to just one machine, we'll just call it about 65 bucks an hour is what I pay for rental, which is pretty daggone cheap. He's always taking care of me on that. But with 100 hours on the machine, it means I've saved $6,500 in rental so far. Minus the cost I've got in it, I'm about 1,500 bucks ahead. And you know, we used the Ford 555 up here at the church demolition project for the first paid gig for the backhoe. And maybe the first of a few more. Not that I'm wanting to go into business full time, but if a fella needs a job done that machine can do, and they got a little bit of money, I don't see why not. So we're getting close to this thing paying for itself twice already, which is pretty cool. And my theory is, as long as it keeps making me money or saving me money, then it's worth spending a little bit more and improving it along the way. Let's see if that's enough to get us some movement there. Here's your example. A lot of rockage. The neighbors are gonna love this. Now we got a negative spot. That's good. I'd rather have that than lifting up. Let's target this section right here next. Go hit this a little bit too and see if we can't just kind of feather it in with itself. It's looking really good. Very nice. Got one last spot right there, then we'll slide it back up. Oh, way better. Oh yeah, very nice. Need to get this centered up next. Anybody good at math? Yeah, me neither. Been staring at this thing for 15 minutes. I think I'm gonna slide it all the way up. Like that. It's the most important 16th right there. One day I'm gonna be grading this bucket. I'm gonna say, man, I think I'm a 16th out. Shouldn't be too bad filling a 7-inch gap. I think that'll be okay. Pretty big fan of burning up 23 pounds of rods. It's in there somewhere, I'm sure of it. I can't see it all. If you're wondering what I'm burning at 6011, the amperage is set to the sun. That'll do good for us. Let's take a little closer look up at it. Here's the gap underneath. Look at that. Pretty fancy, I know. Professional machine shop. Now, I've got a weld down both sides. Oh, 4 or 5 inches. It's like that on the left, that's still hot, and right side of it. Shadow's not doing the camera any favors. Just gotta take my word for it. Let's be honest with these welding skills. Probably don't want to look at it too close anyway. The next thing we're gonna do is I've got some plate. We're gonna cut and fill a piece right like that to fill this part in and get that solid. The reason being, if I'm ever back dragging, I don't want it pulling on this weld right here. I want everything kind of all tied together. I want it pulling from here back, all of it tied together. Now there's going to be times during this fabrication process where you're going to say, Mike, you're kind of pushing the boundaries of being excessive. And you're right. The thing is, I like to overbuild because I only want to do it once, and I can be pretty tough on things. I got this piece of plate steel from that church salvage job. It was kind of in the rubble. Actually, I got 5 of these. I went ahead and drug them home. We're going to cut this up to make these little gusset pieces. Just got a piece of cardboard here. We're just going to put that in there. Trace out our shape. Fall shadows are not camera friendly. I do apologize. But there you go. Bad. I'll show you those in a second, but this is going to be the next piece we cut. It's kind of like Tennessee, a little bit of Oklahoma. It's got a funky shape to it, but it'll make sense once we get it in place. I'm going to cut this out with a torch. We'll get her cleaned up with the flap wheel, then the bucket cleaned up with the flap wheel, and then we'll beat it into place and see if we can make something happen here. So this is what that's going to look like. It basically just boxes in. That whole side. Connects this whole thing to it. This is the realm of excessiveness that I was talking about. We are going to connect that as well. And we also got some work to do here, clipping that and tying that in. And possibly hitting a couple spots on the plate itself to strengthen some things up. But I'm about out of welding rods, so I got to catch it tomorrow. So it's a new day. We're getting right back on it. Picked up some new rods and some new gloves and a new grinder because, well, I've always liked having 2 grinders set up. It's just easier. Then I don't have to switch back and forth between wheels or wire wheels as much. And I had 2 and then 1 burnt out. Now I just have 1 corded and 1 battery, and that battery does okay, but really for anything more than wire wheel, it runs down too quick. So I need to pick up another quarter one. Pretty happy about that. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick, as we start getting into the hydraulics on that tractor, something I haven't checked yet, and I need to, is to make sure that all my relief valves that are in that tractor are working. Now I've got the technical manual and I can go through and I can see where everything needs to be set at, and I can see where the relief valves are at. I've got to have those working right to protect all of these systems, especially once I start adding stuff on like third functions and things like that, and the hydraulic thumb towards the rear, which is something we hope to do. So I did pick up a kit from Vever, and it's got a whole bunch of course everything's falling out on me. It's got several different hydraulic gauges, and I got to get a couple different fittings to go with this, but we'll be able to hook this up to the tractor. We can run those release valves, bottom those cylinders out, and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. We got to make sure we're protecting that system. In case you can't tell, we've got some fun hydraulic projects coming up on this old machine. And I do have a buddy in town today. His name's Lee. He's coming down. He's actually coming down from New York. He stopped by and helped me with some stuff before. He's in town for the Utility Expo. Asked if I needed a hand today, and hopefully with a little bit of help, we can get this thing finished up and loaded in the back of the truck and then up to the church. Let's check out this side. We're gonna have to trim it quite a bit too, I'm sure. That fits really good on this side, but our height is off quite a bit. Man, that's not bad for a freehand torch job. Do you see? Look at that. Anyway, we're just going to scribe the back side a little bit. And with that rough mark, I'll just carry that mark across. We'll torch it, clean it up, shove her in there, and weld it. I think we're sneaking up on our last cut of the day here. We're not quite on the peg. We're getting pretty close. We got to be down to just what's in the hose at this point. While we got this on and we're cutting, I want to go ahead and straight edge across here. I just made a little cardboard template for this spot right here. And Lee's back there getting those 4 pieces cut out for me. So while he's working on that, we're gonna finish getting this cleaned up and see if we can get in there and run all that weld. Now let's see. That slides in there pretty good. That's actually a really good fit. Sometimes I impress myself. So at this point, I think we've kind of established that I'm definitely glad and happy with the investment. And because of that, I'm going to keep putting more money into it. Now, there are definitely a lot of things that need to be done with this backhoe. Like it definitely needs some paint, it needs some cosmetic stuff, it needs some tires. And I will get to that stuff eventually. But what I'm most excited about, what I would like to do, as we continue to make improvements on this machine, is kind of what we're doing now. Some quick attach functions and things that can allow me to use more tools and more implements, which opens up more possibilities, and the more possibilities, the more things I can accomplish with it, the more it pays for itself. I'm working with a company right now getting some hydraulic stuff rounded up so we can get a third function with some flat face fitting so I can run things like grapples off the front of it, or that 4-in-1 work brow bucket, things like that, which increases the amount of ways that the machine can continue to pay for itself. Yeah, that'll work.
Pretty tall, but...
Oh yeah, we'll weld them in, then we'll nip them off.
Square down?
No, I'll just fill that with weld. I don't think it'd be worth the time. I'll just fill that with weld. And the ones that are tall, yeah, we'll weld them in. I'd rather have a little bit to work with anyway.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
I'll do the 4th one.
Okay. So I got these cleaned up. They don't look too terrible. That was all 6011. I got some 7018. I think I can get 7018 to look nicer than 6011. So I'm going to cap all these with 7018 to make sure I got enough weld in there. It's going to be the beefiest loader bucket. Heck, I'm only going to be able to carry 10 pounds of dirt. I'm going to have 7,000 pounds of steel on it. I'll show you up close so you can be the judge. There's everything with the 6011, which it burns hot and gets great penetration. But I've always just been able to get a smoother finish with the 7018. There's the 6011 on this side. And then we'll run it with the 7018. So we're looking really good. Let me give you the green tour real quick. So on this back plate, where the plates for the quick attach will sit, we've got good contact here, good contact here, good contact here. We've got weld about 5 inches on both sides, back that, and then of course all the way down this side. We got this filled in, and of course it's identical on this side. No need to put a square on it. It's close to perfect, I promise you. We got these filled in right here. They turned out pretty nice. So we're looking really good. The last thing I want to do before we take it up for the trial run is I want to fill these in right here and make sure that the top of this plate has something good and solid holding it down. I mean, we're welded good right here, but I figure if it's going to end up failing, it's going to end up failing when I'm 2 hours away from home at the church salvage job. So let's just put a little extra insurance on the front corner here. But we got a plan to get this in the back of the truck. I'm not saying it's a good plan, but it's a plan. It's a plan. I don't know, somewhere in the grass, I guess. Hate to scratch the paint on it.
Yeah. Fine.
Perfect. Well, it survived the trip. Now I gotta figure out how to get it out of here. By the way, huge thanks to Lee for helping me get this thing up and going. I honestly don't think I would have got it done in time for what I needed to do. Kind of wish I had an extra set of hands to get it out of here. Just drag it out and let it hit the ground? Probably. We'll just take the tailgate off and we'll just pull it out. It's only failed me twice in life so far. And to your disappointment, I'm not just yanking it out. We're just going to get the back end out on the ground where I can get under it with the forks. Whoa, you got to get under it. You got to get under it, bud. There you go. Now you got it. I hate to say it, but you guys are right in the way. This might just fall. You know, and I guess that's okay if it does. Yeah, sure, works for me. Swing in there, will you, bud? There you go. How many things did I smash? Do you guys know? Was it a lot? All right. Can't see. Kind of. Oh, can you? Feel like we're on the right track there. Nope. We missed. No, we got it. We're good. That's it. We got it. Back we go. Flexible enough. Not bad. I need to lift it up and look at the bottom side here. Just curious about some things. So remember I was talking about wanting to bring a gusset back on this piece here, but depending on where the pin was at, the pin's plenty clear, so in the future we can run a gusset from there over. Show you what I'm talking about. So the pin clears, but right here we could run this piece continuous to fill that in. but she fits on there great. Got my welding rod pins there. She looks really nice. Let's see what it looks like on the ground. I want to make sure the bucket's actually lower than the loader arms, you know. And she looks good. She looks real good. That should work fine. Oh, what a treat. So here's something you do sacrifice when you do the quick attach. This is the original framework for the back of the bucket, which would have been right there, that piece there, which means now the bucket is about, let's call that 3 inches further out from the pin. So I do lose a little bit of lift capacity with it, but I gain the versatility of being able to put whatever I want on here, including, like we mentioned in the future, a third function kit so we could grapple and actually run that 4-in-1 bucket from work bracket. Being able to actually use the hydraulic functions on this would be a game changer, especially for a machine like that. And again, the whole reason I want to go ahead and take this back, I've only got 2 more days left up here, which means 2 more trips with the pickup truck. So I want to get the bucket back because the next trip is going to be on my tools. And then I don't know when I'm actually going to be able to get the semi up here to haul all the stone out. It could be 2 or 3 weeks, honestly. It depends on Dirt Perfect's semi schedule. And I don't want to have his bucket trapped up here for 2 or 3 weeks. It may sit down there on his lot and not be used for those 2 or 3 weeks, but that's where it belongs in case he actually wants to use it. So we're going ahead and getting that thing out of here and getting that smooth face bucket back on the machine. So that's it for this one. Next video should be the last episode in the series of this church demolition. I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at the final stretch. I'm super excited about it, and I'm just ready to be done with it. So I hope you guys come back and join me for that. And then after that, we're going to be replacing some seals on that man lift, because that was what I worked out with Dirt Perfect, Not Your Average Millennial, in order to trade rental for the man lift, is do a little bit of mechanic work on it and get a couple things fixed up for him. So we got that coming up, and then believe it or not, lumber is ordered. We'll be framing. Yeah, we're framing on the YouTube yacht. It's coming, guys, so get excited. I can't thank you enough for watching. Hope I get to see you on the next one.